Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. Kara Corey here, registered dietitian. I am so excited to discuss in detail today's topic. We are going to talk all about weight loss medications, in particular the very popularized Ozempic we're going to touch on, as well as Wegovy. So these are two medications that have been used for weight loss. And I most recently feel like with social media, I have been seeing it blow up on my feed. Nearly every week, there's some kind of celebrity either admitting to taking it or speculation due to rapid weight loss if celebrities are taking it. So this is something that has really become mainstream, almost trendy, if you will.
Injection. They were talking about the Kardashians. They were talking about how they lose all this weight.
Semaglutide is like
So I want to break it down exactly what these medications are, what they do, and if it's something this dietitian approves of. Before we jump on into today's topic, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It takes one little moment. Go on down there, hit that subscribe button. You can also hit that bell. That's going to let you know each and every time I upload. Additionally, if you enjoy the Dietitian Talks, the educational videos, breaking it down here for you, giving you the science, giving you some opinions, my opinions, but also focusing on science-based research, then be sure to like this video. Always lets me know what you all enjoy, helps me out in the algorithm. Additionally, feel free to share this video. That also really helps me out when you share my videos on your social medias or with your friends and fam who also need a non-BS approach. I did touch on this topic earlier in this year, kind of graced over it a bit, if you will, discussing it as a TikTok trend. I didn't necessarily articulate well or go into all the details on this, so I want to do my due diligence to make sure I really give you all the facts on it and how my thoughts and feelings have changed a bit since the prior video. You may or may not have seen these terms, whether it's on TikTok, your Instagram, even searching on YouTube, or maybe your latest news articles, but semaglutide is really being studied heavily right now for weight loss and its impacts to be able to help individuals lose weight in combination with lifestyle habits, exercise, and diet, of course, but in particular, it has shown a much greater yield of overall body composition changes with the overall percentage of weight loss that you can lose. Semaglutide is a glucagon-like peptide. It's a gut peptide that has benefits working throughout your stomach. There are a few different actions with semaglutide and why it's going to help you lose weight. Number one, semaglutide acts on the pancreas, so it actually increases your release of insulin and assists with lowering blood sugar. Number two, it actually helps food stay within the stomach for a lot longer period of time, i.e. a decrease in your gastric emptying. So if food is staying in your stomach for a longer period of time, you are more able to feel full for a longer period of time. And number three, it also works with the brain in terms of increasing those feelings of satiety, which means feeling of fullness, and then also helps decrease your appetite. So there's a few different mechanisms happening within the body in effort to assist you with losing weight loss and being successful. Ozempic was originally approved back in 2017, and now Ozempic was approved for management of type 2 diabetes. However, what was seen with prescribing Ozempic to patients with type 2 diabetes, that along with that medication controlling their blood sugar, it also in turn helped them with weight loss. Ozempic is prescribed at about 1 milligram for that injection. So when this came out in 2017 and they started seeing that weight loss was occurring with this medication, that's when they started playing around with researching this at a higher dose in effort to see if this could be something that could be utilized specifically to target folks who needed to lose weight. Because of that, that is when we saw Wegovy entering into the scene, which I can't help but think about Wagyu beef, Wegovy. It is a weird name, so I have a craving for steak now, but Wegovy, comparative to Ozempic, is administered at 2.4 milligrams versus the 1 milligram for Ozempic. Wegovy entered the scene and FDA did approve it in June 2021 for weight loss in particular. So Ozempic is still to be prescribed for those with type 2 diabetes, whereas Wegovy is actually now being prescribed for folks who just need to lose weight, not necessarily with type 2 diabetes. The criteria for being prescribed Wegovy is, number one, you have to have a BMI greater than 30. And we all understand there's major limitations to BMI and how it's used in indicating someone's obese, but it is still something that is used when prescribing medication. So that's the first thing you have to classify as being obese. And you also have to have one weight-related condition, i.e. something like hypertension, high cholesterol, or diabetes. So those two factors need to be there, should be there in effort for that medication to be prescribed for you. Now, when you look into the research on Wegovy, which is something I had not done before, there is a lot of research out there, and they also do some comparisons with previous weight loss medications that have been on the market and are still on the market. And this one really stands out, I think, which is a big part of why it's gained such quick popularity. The actual percentage of weight loss that we see with use of Wegovy is so much higher compared to other weight loss medications. So overall, when they looked at the adult population that they were doing these studies on, overall, on average, 15% of their body weight was lost, which is rather significant. Even as someone who's very obese, losing 15% can have major health benefits. I know even just losing 5% of total body weight can help you with reduction of blood pressure, improve your lab markers and all that. So in effort to actually lose 15% of your total body weight, that could have major impacts on your health, your quality of life, your overall lifetime capacity, actually. They did have a placebo group that was just doing the lifestyle behavioral changes. On average, they only lost 2 to 3% of their total body weight. So 2 to 3%, you add on this medication, 15%. That's quite significant. They also studied this in the adolescent group as well. So for kids, they also showed an average weight loss of 16% of their total body weight. Those are some significant numbers. I wanted to kind of compare that to some of the other weight loss meds we've seen on the market. We have seen things like phentermine, which is, I would say as a dietitian, the number one thing, at least where I live locally, that I still hear and see prescribed quite a bit. Not so much in the hospital that I work in, but I do actually know people that are on phentermine. It's been around since the 50s. That one is only approved for short-term use. It is a controlled substance, and the side effects with it can be quite significant in terms of damaging your heart. And only a 5 to 10% weight loss is seen with phentermine, depending on the dosage. Different doses can apply here. So 5 to 7% weight loss. Also something approved on the market called naltrexone. That one is about a 9% weight loss on average for those studies. And then the other one I looked at too, which is another GLP-1, that is liraglutide. I haven't seen this one prescribed, but I have seen information on it.
130 pounds. That's how much she's lost in the last year and a half using Saxenda, a approved injectable treatment for weight loss.
Most comparably would be Saxenda, that is also on the GLP-1 scale. So similarly, that is another injectable you take once a day. With that one, those folks saw about an 8% overall weight loss. So enter into the scene Wegovy, which at the dose that it's currently being prescribed sees almost double the results that we've seen from other weight loss medications on the market. So with that being said, what are the side effects? If there's higher weight loss produced, are there worse side effects? Not necessarily. The biggest side effects that are seen are things GI distress related, which makes sense because part of the mechanism with this is the delay in gastric emptying. So with that going on, you could definitely see some issues with nausea, vomiting, just overall GI upset. Headaches and fatigue were also listed. Overall in the study, though, it was a very low dropout rate due to the GI side effects. I believe it was 4.5% of overall participants in that study that had dropped out due to the GI symptoms. So it was quite minimal in the grand scheme of things. The one major side effect that has only been seen in animal studies thus far was thyroid C cell tumors. So those were seen in animal studies. We haven't seen it in human studies yet, but from what I read, it was cautioned against for anyone who has a history of thyroid cancer, whether it be yourself or even in your family. They would not recommend that at this time, which I feel like I've seen a rise of thyroid cancer. I don't know if it's just people I know or what, so I think it's important to share that information as well. I think we'll need further studies, more long-term data in terms if this also results in human studies, because of course what occurs in animal studies isn't always the same in human studies, right? Being that this does have a insulin response with lowering your blood sugar. If you're already on other medications that lower your blood sugar, you may need to monitor that or any interactions between the two. So what do we think? It's a once a week injection. I know some people are scared of needles, so that could deter you. But if you are someone who is obese, you've done the lifestyle changes, you feel like you can do everything you've done, could this be a possible option for you? Being that it's FDA approved, relatively minimal side effects, at least that we know of from right now, from my perspective. This is something that needs to continue to be studied, but something important we have to note too, the studies in terms of folks who go off of this medication do tend to rebound with weight, okay? So it's not something that you take, it changes, it gives you metabolic adaptations that you can go off of it and continue to maintain your weight loss. This is something that most likely, in effort to maintain those results, you would have to continue to stay on this medication. Some people don't want to start something that they're going to be on the rest of their lives. Other people are in a different dynamic where they feel like they have tried everything and maybe their life is dependent on losing weight. So maybe this is a great option for someone like that. And always think about long-term safety issues. If you recall years ago when a drug came out called fen-phen that was being recommended for a lot of people for weight loss, ended up being banned and pulled off the market because it was causing heart valve damage. So something to be considerate for something being a bit newer in the market. At the same time, its mechanism of action, being a GLP-1, isn't necessarily new. It's not unfamiliar territory in terms of what it does in our body. So I think we're now treading on territory where we're almost being preventative, and that seems a little scary, I think, probably for insurance companies and probably for doctors. Some people are on board with being preventative, but I feel that insurance companies are not set up that way, nor are they prepared to handle doctors prescribing things in a preventative manner. They gonna lose that money if all of a sudden we don't have as many people with chronic illness, being obese, being hospitalized. And that is just the raw truth of it all at the end of the day. Our system, at least in the US, we are not set up to be preventative whatsoever. So my thoughts on this have changed a bit, that I do love the idea of something being available to help individuals out who need that assistance in addition to exercise. You still have to have that. And there was actually a nice video that discussed, kind of emphasized, the doctor for the research study emphasized how you do need to still work out, because with weight loss, you're not just losing fat, you also lose lean tissue. That is something that will occur with weight loss. So the importance and emphasis on continuing to move your body and do all the right things to maintain that lean tissue still applies here. As I mentioned, you have to have one weight-related condition already, so that's not truly preventative. But I think it's kind of moving in the right direction where we could be more preventative to prevent some of the weight-related health conditions that occur. Insurance, a little spotty. Medicare does not cover, and from what I could tell, it's rather expensive too. But I'm not totally sure. I think that's going to be very dependent on your personal insurance coverage. Cost and demand is a huge thing, and that is what got me on my rant about this in my first video. Is a lot of the media coverage was saying, in particular with Ozempic, when that first came out, being prescribed for type 2 diabetes, it got really popularized. If you scroll through TikTok and check out the hashtag Ozempic or even Wegovy, there are tons and tons of videos being done. So it kind of got TikTok viral in terms of usage. And part of the media blast at the time was that there were shortages with this medication and that people were having issues getting the medication and and getting it to the people that needed it for diabetes management. And that is where I had a problem as a dietitian. If people were taking a medication inappropriately, and you could argue, well, how could it be inappropriate if a doctor's prescribed it? There are ways, honey. So we have to talk about celebrities in Hollywood. There are people who are not meeting the criteria for either of these medications that very well could be prescribed these medications. So that's where I have conflict. If there's people using these medications that should not be, that don't meet the criteria, in that it's taking away from individuals who truly need it for diabetes management. I don't know if that's still the case right now, but that definitely was in the headlines over the past year. And if you kind of do a quick little Google search, you'll see it as well, that there was huge shortages created from this demand. And so with this demand and with this up and coming news of this great weight loss medication producing significantly great results here, we started seeing a lot of speculation about popular celebrities taking it, especially the Kardashians. We saw Kim Kardashian lose a significant amount of weight this year when she had to fit into her Marilyn Monroe dress. And that started a lot of conversations about whether or not she was taking Ozempic. Same with her sister, Khloe Kardashian. We've seen her lose weight over the years, but in particular, Kim and Khloe really lost a great deal of weight this past year. So only speculation, but we have seen influential people like Elon Musk discuss that he did take Wegovy and that it did help him slim down. I don't know what his BMI was. Maybe he met the criteria and it was totally all ethical on the doctor's side of things. But when you start hearing people discuss it in the media, people of that influence of Elon Musk or Kim Kardashian, it gets everyone wanting a little piece of the pie, especially because I'm sure if Kim or Khloe were taking it, they certainly didn't meet criteria for obesity. I can't imagine they would have. As skewed as BMI can be, I find that hard to believe. But when you're in a position of power, in a position of money, and you know people, I'm sure you can get your hands on quite anything you need. I was curious some of your takes over on Instagram, Karakori Fit Life. I did throw up a couple polls, and one of the questions that I asked you all was, if you could take a medication guaranteed to help you lose weight, would you? This is something I've heard Joe Rogan talk about, and he's like, 9 out of 10 people would take it. Anyone would hit that button to be able to lose weight. I'm using the term medication here, so it's a little bit of a different dynamic, but 10% of the people that responded to this poll said, sign me up. I think my audience is a little skewed because they know I'm very health-based. So my audience is probably more in line with my thoughts and feelings. So that could totally skew these results. 40% said depends. 17% said no way. And 32% said diet and exercise only. I then asked what you all thought about celebrities taking weight loss meds who didn't meet the criteria for obesity, who looked to be fairly healthy and within their normal weight. I wanted to get your input on this. And boy, did you all have a lot of input. I got a ton of responses on this. They shouldn't take it and cause a shortage for those who actually need it. That was my stance at the beginning. And I still agree with that. If we're causing shortages for people that need it, that's a problem. But it's hard to know what it's supply and demand. Is there really shortages, or are we creating shortages which then help make it that much more popular, right? When something's out of stock, you're like, damn, I need this. So is there something sketchy being done with these supposed shortages, or are they actually shortages? I can't confirm. I'm just going by what I've seen in the media. I like this opinion. We hold them to impossible standards, then we vilify them for meeting those standards. More big pharma propaganda without third party along to research. It makes me sad. Annoyed because others I love are going to try it as their easy fix that won't actually fix anything. Anything celebs do promote, I take with a grain of salt. Social media doesn't give you the truth. We do have to remember Kardashians, while they're not promoting this, they are ones that have promoted the waist trainers and the skinny teas and all that kind of BS too. So you kind of have to think about that. For celebrities, their career is based solely on appearance, cannot be compared to average people. But will you be healthy? Do you still eat trash? Will the results last when you stop taking them? Which we talked about. They will not last. Everyone wants to see those abs. Never realize how healthy you are till you look back. Vain and setting an unhealthy image for others. I think it's kind of sad we're making the shift back to smaller bodies, coupled with the shortage of that med that is also used to manage diabetes. It seems kind of mismanaged, and privilege is being held above treatment. Not a fan. Also do not like the recommendation for prescribing these to kids. Only agree if it's medically necessary rather than a quick fix to lose a couple lbs. I think that's in line with my stance on it as it is for right now too. I think we have to be careful with things being TikTok trends, and it's hard right now. I'm influenced. I am an influencer. I influence you all in some ways too, right? So we have to be careful with what we see. Taking a weight loss medication should not be a trend. It shouldn't be something that we're just like, we saw on TikTok and we think it's a good idea. We have to look at the individual and really think about if it's necessary. I would hate for young kids to be thinking they need this medication and going to their doctor and requesting it. Although it is studied in kids and can be used, I think it should be used as after trying weight loss and lifestyle modifications otherwise, especially in our children, in our adolescents. There's so much work that needs to be done there. And I can tell you from my personal experience working in psychiatric healthcare and working with kids, we have an adolescent unit, and so many of these kids just haven't sadly been exposed to healthy habits. They just don't know what healthy habits are, right? So for me, my ideal would be in terms of children, adolescents, working with them, having them meet with a dietitian, having them get the support to learn and implement healthier lifestyles. Unfortunately, a lot of that is dependent on the families, on the parents, on the home life, on who is doing what and what they have access to. Kids are vulnerable to their surroundings and they only have so much control. So the family has to play a part in that. And I think that is a big component that I hope isn't getting missed. I think that needs to be assessed first, worked on first before implementing weight loss meds. But I do agree that it's not just, I think I watched one TikTok where it was calories in, calories out, the energy balance. You don't need a weight loss medication. And I will preach calories in, calories out, but it doesn't work for everyone. It's not that simple. And I think as a dietitian, and I know there's a lot of diet culture dietitians out there who probably hate this position, but there are a lot of individuals who need help, that you are out there doing the diet and lifestyle changes. You are working out. You are modifying your diet. You are doing everything you need for sleep, for stress, and you are still well overweight and you are struggling. And for those of you, I think that this could be a great solution and a good addition if you are someone that meets the criteria and works with your doctor, of course. I am not able to prescribe medication. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a pharmacist. So as a dietitian, I'm giving you my thoughts in combination with a weight loss regimen. In terms of our celebrities taking it, here's what I say to that. We're never going to know what celebrities are doing, and Kardashians in particular, however you feel about their bodies or not, we don't even need to comment on it, but we can't hold them to this standard of something that we want to achieve or are setting out to achieve. Unfortunately, some of us still do, probably more the young and impressionable, but even adults, we fall victim to looking at another person and wanting to have their ideal body. And when it comes to celebrities, they just aren't normal people. Their job is to still look a certain way and present a certain way in the media. So we also have to stop worrying about what other people are doing and how they got there and how you can get your body to look like another person's body. We need to focus on ourselves. I'm quite honestly really interested to see how the research develops on Wegovy being FDA approved specifically for weight loss and what the longer term studies show. I hope to see no major negative side effects there from long-term usage, because this does appear to be a medication you would need to actually use for life, for the long term, to maintain your results. So I assume more research will continue to come out on this, and I'm really excited to stay on top of it. So be sure to let me know your comments below. Have you heard of Wegovy? Have you heard of Ozempic? Do you have any experience with it that you'd like to share, coming from someone who's either taken it or prescribed it? I know I have some pharmacists that follow me as well. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one.